first candidate, I really tried to put Loxo source to the test. The first first job order I had that was pretty good job order for recruiting. I didn't use LinkedIn Recruiter. I'm like, Matt said I don't need to do it. I'm going to try it out. And it was about a $40,000 fee on him. So, I mean, it paid for Loxo for the next 3, 4, or 5 years for our whole office. We have a small team. We have just a little pharma team, 3 of us. Our yearly goal tends to be $1 million. It is, what are we sitting in? We're in August. And now that we're in August, we have now billed $1 million. We've been in business now for 28 years. So that was all PCR. So you had to figure out, okay, these people are going to switch. What are we going to switch them to? And so I initially took the lead on that. And I was like, we need to find something very simplistic, but also very complex in terms of what it can do functionality wise, which is almost, I would say, an oxymoron. The recruiting group, the headhunter group. And I basically just went around and started messaging people in a bunch of different groups, just saying, hey, what do you use? And there was I always look for patterns in recruiting and anything. And so I noticed a pattern of like a lot of people just going Loxo, Loxo, Loxo. So that's what got my attention. And then I looked at the website and I was like, oh, wow, this little intro video is pretty sweet. Like, this is like, I mean, it literally went from like what recruiting used to be. And then, moving forward from like job boards through newspapers and then all the way to what it's become now and then where it can become in the future. And then that's when I was like, okay, this is pretty sweet, but is it going to actually be the talk? And it is. It totally is. We came from PCR. We were on the demo and everybody in our office is like, this is wild. We've got to get on board with this, like ASAP. And I saw so many things in all these groups that people use and all these tools. And I'm like, you know what? We can't have all these different tools going into one platform, because if this tool over here screws up and it's not communicating with this over here, the fault of this other one. So I wanted something that was like all one ecosystem, and essentially. And I mean, that's Loxo to a T. And then people really have now started to say, hey, thanks. This has been amazing. An amazing transition. And the transition was sweet too. I mean, it was super, super easy. That's where that was probably honestly one of the most impressive. And we had this huge thing where I was getting all these quotes from companies before I even talked to Loxo about how long it takes. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, 4 months, 5 months, some of them are 6 months. And I'm just like, how do you not work, or how do you like half-ass work for that long? And so I was like, okay, this is going to be a problem. And then honestly, I think the last one I did actually was Loxo. And then when they said that they can do it in a month to 2, I was thinking like, okay, that's pretty impressive, but it's probably going to be towards 2. And then we hop on it and start using it. And it was like the entire thing was done in like, I want to say 3.5 weeks to a month. And it was insane. And then they were like, we only need to do one more, like, final backup type of thing, which was like a week, or if that. I don't even think it was that. So, I mean, like, overall, that was insane how fast it was. I think what they did was most impressive is they matched up every piece of data from PCR into Loxo almost, perfect for the most part. There were little things that were just different systems that they had to fix, which were fixed. They're fine. But overall, it was incredibly impressive. And we don't have to, we were comfortable to the point where we don't have PCR anymore. We don't have to go back and double check and make sure stuff's there. We got rid of it in
the whole
4 or 5 months after. Yeah, whole team's out. I said we're out. Ooh, that's a good one. The business problems we had with PCR, like the whole workflow that we did there, the way I kept track of candidates for the most part, you could use PCR, sure, but it was that bad and had so many clicks through it and navigating so much stuff I didn't. So I had everything on a spreadsheet. And when you have 20 jobs and you have, candidates going through different jobs and, on one spreadsheet, it's tough, and it was really cumbersome and confusing. And I would say the biggest thing that Loxo has done is organization. I think a lot of recruiters have problems with organization because, even if you're a good organized person in life, you go into recruiting and you have to be like ultra organized. And for people, it's hard. For me, it's hard. I couldn't do it. And so it saved the organization for us. Like, we don't have a secretary anymore. Primarily because of that. And some other reasons too, but I think it keeps you so organized. And like, if somebody calls me now on the phone and I see the number, I can click there, I can find out who it is much, much faster. Whereas in PCR, somebody calls me and I'm like, okay, I have to get them talking for a little bit while I'm searching their name, while I'm pulling stuff up. And then, if I don't type in something exactly how it is in the database, I'm not pulling it up. So if it has a space after their name when it was inputted, even though I spelled the name right, I'm not pulling it up. So from an organizational perspective, that was game changer. We have a small team. We have just a little pharma team, 3 of us. Our yearly goal tends to be $1 million. It is, what are we sitting in? We're in August. And now that we're in August, we have now billed $1 million. We have September, October, November, December. We started
with
in
Corona.
February. Yeah, with Corona. We started in February. So we've lost 5 months without having, we still have 5 months to go, 4 months to go, and we lost a month in January without COVID or without Loxo. I think the biggest thing is like the fact that it can find contact information so fast and being able to keep track of people and not having to log who you emailed, what you said to them. Our team of 3 can pick up any candidate and know where I left off. If somebody's out of the office, our time that we use is, spending to do all these little stupid things is now like it's crunched. So there's hardly any. So, from an ROI perspective, that's a good one. What I like best, I like how much easier my job is, honestly, because I think anytime somebody's job gets easier, who's going to say no? And I have times or weeks where I have literally worked less and produced more because of Loxo. And then the hiring manager's like, damn, you just got 3 resumes to me in 5 days. And I have had recruiters internally working on this position for like 4 months. That's probably my favorite part, is being able to make people super satisfied and happy on both sides, but then my job's easier. They do, exactly. You can't get mad at that. So that's how I feel with Loxo and how it's been just sweet. Bottom line, I would say, just in terms of Loxo itself and Loxo as a platform and in the team at Loxo, that's the other thing. The team, that's another thing, is like, if people are looking at systems and you have the greatest system in the world and it works incredibly well, like I said, nothing is perfect. And then that one day the system goes down because it's not perfect, and you need help, and your system is down, you're not working realistically until the system is fixed. And if you have that amazing system, but the customer service or the people that are working at the company don't know how to get back to you, or they take 4 days to get back to you, you're down for 4 days. You're losing money for 4 days. And the one thing that I respect out of Loxo, honestly, like Amazon has good customer service. We've dealt with Comcast, who has terrible customer service, but Loxo is like, the people know what you're talking about. They're going into your system specifically. They're trying to reproduce the error that's there so they can fix it. The longest I've had to wait in terms of getting help for Loxo, it says 2 hours or an hour to 2 hours. The longest I've had to wait, honestly, is like 45 minutes.